The name Euclid is known to almost every high school student as the author of the Elements, the long-studied treatise on geometry and number theory. No other book except the Bible has been so widely translated and circulated. From the time it was written, it was regarded as an extraordinary work and was studied by all mathematicians, even the greatest mathematician of antiquity, Archimedes, and so it has been through the 23 centuries that have followed. It is unquestionably the best mathematics text ever written and is likely to remain so into the distant future. This miniature, found in a manuscript of the Roman surveyors in Wulfenb, Uttle, 6th century CE, is purportedly an image of Euclid. 1. Euclid, the mathematician. Little is known about Euclid, fluid 300 BC, the author of the Elements. He taught and wrote in Egypt at the Museum and Library at Alexandria. 1 c. Degree 2000, G. Donald Allen. Euclid. 2. Which was founded in about 300 BCE by Ptolemy Isoter, who too. Almost everything about him comes from Proclus' commentary, 4th cent AD. He writes that Euclid collected Eudoxus' theorems, perfected many of Theaetetus, and completed fragmentary works left by others. His synthesis of these materials was so masterful that scarcely any mathematician today is unfamiliar with this work. Euclid is said to have said to the first Ptolemy, who inquired if there was a shorter way to learn geometry than the Elements, "There is no royal road to geometry." Another anecdote relates that a student, after learning the very first proposition in geometry, wanted to know what he would gain by knowing such proposition, whereupon Euclid called his slave and said, "Give him 3 pence, since he must needs make gain by what he learns." There are also remarks in the Islamic literature that attributes names to Euclid's father and grandfather, that gives his birthplace as Tyre, and provides a very few other details about Euclid, including the admonition placed on the doors of many Greek schools forbidding anyone from entering who has not first learned the Elements of Euclid. Of the character of Euclid there is only a remark by Pappus that Euclid was unassuming, not boasting of his work, and honest and fair to the contributions of others. These comments seem to have come as a pointed contrast to Apollonius III. He, who we will discuss later. This, 700 years after Euclid's death, can scarcely be considered authoritative. Indeed, by this time Euclid was more legend than person. 2 sources of the Elements. Before Euclid there was geometry. The latest compiler before Euclid was Theodotus, whose textbook was used in the Academy. It was 2 Ptolemy I was probably the one used by Aristotle. But soon after the Elements appeared, all others were forgotten. If the greatness of a masterpiece can be measured by the number of people that study it, the Elements must rank second of all written works, with only the Bible preceding it. Judging by the number of references, it must have been a classic almost from the time of publication. The most accomplished mathematicians of antiquity studied the Elements, and several of them wrote commentaries on it. Among them are Heron, Proclus, Pappus, Theon of Alexandria, and Simplicius. Some authors added books, chapters, and other improved or modified the theorems or proofs. In fact, considerable effort has been expended to determine what the original work contained. This is difficult in that it was written about 2,300 years ago, and no copies are extant. Only a few potsherds dating from 225 BC contain notes about some propositions. Many new editions were issued. The most significant was prepared by Theon of Alexandria, 4th century, CE. Theon's scholarly recension was for centuries the basis of all known translations. Another version was found in the Vatican by Peyrade, early 19th century, with the customary attributions to Theon absent. From this, it was possible to determine an earlier, root version of the elements closer to the original. However, it was not until the Danish scholar J.L. Heiberg in 1883 to 1888, working with the Peyrade manuscript and the best of the Theonine manuscripts together with commentaries by Heron and others, that a new and definitive text was constructed. This version is widely regarded as closest of all to the original, both in organization and constitution. When Greek world crumbled in the 5th century, it was the Islamics that inherited the remains. At first disdaining any regard for ancient work and indeed destroying what they found, substantially on religious basis, they later embraced the Greek learning through as many ancient texts as could be recovered. They actively sought out the remaining Greek editions, even by making lavish purchases, and translated them to Arabic. We will discuss Islamic mathematical contributions to our mathematical heritage in more detail later. For now it suffices to say that it was the Arabic translations that provided the primary source materials for the Latin translations that were to emanate from Moorish Spain in the 12th and 13th centuries. 3 Arabic translations were made during the Islamic period of enlightenment. One was produced by Al-Hajjaj ibn Yusuf ibn Mutar, first for the Abbasid Caliph Harun ar-Rashid, ruled 786 to 809, and again. Euclid. 4. For the Caliph al-Ma'mun, ruled 813 to 833, the second was made by Hunan ibn Ishaq, ruled 808 to 873, in Baghdad. His translation was revised by Thabit ibn Qurra IV. The third was made by Nasir ad-Din at-Tasi in the 13th century. Of the Latin translations, the first of these was produced by the Englishman Adelard of Bath, 1075–1164, in about 1120. Adelard obtained a copy of an Arabic version in Spain, where he traveled while disguised as a Muslim student. There is, however, some evidence that the Elements was known in England even 2 centuries earlier. Adelard's translation, which was an abridged version with commentary, was followed by a version offered by the Italian Gerard of Cremona. 1114–1187, who was said to have translated the 15 books of the Elements. Certainly this was one of the numerous editions this version was written in Spain. Because it contains a number of Greek words such as rhombus, where Adelard's version contains the Arabic translations, it is likely independent of Adelard's version. Moreover, Gerard no doubt used Greek sources as well. Gerard's manuscript was thought lost but was discovered in 1904 in France. It is a clearer translation than Adelard's, without abbreviations and without editing, being a word-for-word translation containing the revised and critical edition of Thabit's version. A third translation from the Arabic was produced by Johannes Campanus of Navarra, 1205–1296, that came in the late 13th century. The Campanus translation is similar to the Adelard version, but it is clearer and the order of theorem and proof is as now, with the proof following the proposition statement. The first direct translation from the Greek without the Arabic intermediate versions was made by Bartolomeo Zambertti in 1505. The Editio Princeps of the Greek text was published at Basel in 1533 by Simon Grynaeus. The first edition of the complete works of Euclid was the Oxford edition of 1703, in Greek and Latin, by David Gregory. All texts, including the one we quote from, are now superseded by Euclides' Opera Omnia, 8 volumes and a supplement, 1883 to 1916, which were edited by J.L. Heiberg and H. Menge. The earliest known copy of the Elements dates from 888 AD and is currently located in Oxford. 4 Abu al-Hasan Thabit ibn Qurra, 826-901, was court astronomer in Baghdad, though he was a native of Haran. Thabit generalized Pythagoras' theorem to an arbitrary triangle. He was regarded as Arabic equivalent of Pappus. Note: there is an important website at www.perseus.tufts.edu which details many facets of the ancient Greek world. It also contains the statements of the propositions in the Elements. 3 Euclid's other works. 5 works by Euclid have survived to our day. 1. The Elements. 2. Data, a companion volume to the first 6 books of the Elements written for beginners. It includes geometric methods for the solution of quadratics. 3. Division of Figures, a collection of 36 propositions concerning the division of plane configurations. It survived only by Arabic translations. 4. Phenomena on Spherical Geometry, a dissimilartoth work by Autolycus. 5. Optics, an early work on perspective including optics, catoptrics, and dioptrics. All these are in the TAMU library. 3 works by Euclid have not survived. 1. Porisms, possibly an ancient version of analytic geometry. 2. Surface loci. 3. Pseudaria. 4. The Elements. The Elements was one of the first books printed with the Gutenberg press, though not by Gutenberg personally. It was first published in Venice by Erhard Ratdolt. This book had 21 2-inch margins in which Euclid 6 were placed the figures. It was the first mathematical book of importance printed. The reason this or other mathematical texts were published so late was the technical difficulty of printing the figures. There is a remarkable similarity with the contemporary difficulty of producing mathematical typography for web-based course. That is substantially the reason why these materials are in Acrobat PDF format. Our source for the results in the Elements are from the Sir Thomas L. Heath translation into English of Heiberg's Greek version. The general style of the Elements contrasts dramatically with a modern mathematics textbook. Indeed, these days only research monographs have a similar style. Namely, there is no examples, no motivations, no calculation, no witty remarks, no introduction, no preamble. The expensive method of manuscript reproduction, hand transcriptions, probably dictated this economy of scale. However, original commentary and the like may have been lost through the many new editions and translations. 4.1 The Elements structure, 13 books. It comes as a surprise to many thought the Elements contain so much mathematics, including number theory and aspects of series and limits. The Elements can be topically divided into 4 sections. Superscript 2 Books I6 Plane Geometry. Superscript 2 Book 7-9 Theory of Numbers. Superscript 2 Book X Incommensurables. Superscript 2 Book 11-13 Solid Geometry. Each of the books was organized in the following order. Superscript 2 Definitions. Superscript 2 Axioms or common notions, general statements obvious to all. Superscript 2 Postulates particular to the subject at hand. Superscript 2 Theorems. Present here is the considerable influence of Aristotle, who outlined the logical requirements of an argument. The axioms were general. Euclid. 7. Statements, so primitive and so true that there could be no hope of any sort of proof. A typical example if equals be added to equals, the wholes are equal. This axiom, used repeatedly in almost every area of mathematics, is completely fundamental. Axioms have bearing throughout all of reason. Postulates are the primitive basis of the subject at hand, and in the elements form the set of constructs that are possible. In Book I there are 5 postulates. Here is one, to describe a circle with any center and distance. This means the Euclid states without proof that a circle of any diameter and radius may be constructed. This postulate, just barely more than defining what a circle is, allows circles to be constructed as needed. Of course, the theorems constitute the main content of the material at hand. This organization, which is the standard today, is remarkable in that it was developed concurrently with the materials themselves. It is reasonable to conclude that the theorems of the elements assumed through many forms and were proved many ways before Euclid locked them into his timeless masterpiece. 4.2 The Elements Book I. Superscript 2 Definitions 23. 1. A point is that which has no part. 2. A line is breadthless length. 3. The extremities of a line are points. 4. A straight line is a line which lies evenly with the points on itself. 5. A surface is that which has length and breadth only. 6. The extremities of a surface are lines. 7. A plane surface is a surface which lies evenly with the straight lines on itself. 8. A plane angle is the inclination to one another of 2 lines in a plane which meet one another and do not lie in a straight line. 9. And when the lines containing the angle are straight, the angle is called rectilinear. Euclid. 8. A circle is a plane figure contained by one line such that all the straight lines meeting it from one point among those lying within the figure are equal to one another. And the point is called the center of the circle. A diameter of the circle is any straight line drawn through the center and terminated in both directions by the circumference of the circle, and such a straight line also bisects the circle. Parallel straight lines are straight lines which, being in the same plane and being produced indefinitely in both directions, do not meet one another in either direction. Superscript 2 Postulates 5. 1. To draw a straight line from any point to any point. 2. To produce a finite straight line continuously in a straight line. 3. To describe a circle with any center and distance. 4. That all right angles are equal to one another. 5. That, if a straight line falling on 2 straight lines make the interior angles on the same side less than 2 right angles, the 2 straight lines, if produced indefinitely, meet on that side on which are the angles less than the 2 right angles. Euclid. 9. M. 2. 1. N. Superscript 2 Axioms 5. 1. Things which are equal to the same thing are also equal to one another. 2. If equals be added to equals, the wholes are equal. 3. If equals be subtracted from equals, the remainders are equal. 4. Things which coincide with one another are equal to one another. 5. The whole is greater than the part. Some logic. Superscript 2 A syllogism in discourse in which, certain things being stated, something other than what is stated follows of necessity from their being so. Example, if all monkeys are primates and all primates are mammals, then it follows that all monkeys are mammals. Superscript 2 Modus ponens if bank.p. Therefore q. Superscript 2 Modus tollens if, then q.not. Therefore, not p. The 48 propositions of Book I comprise much of the standard one-year high school geometry course. The most famous of all them is Proposition I-47, the Pythagorean theorem, which was discussed in the chapter on Pythagoras. Here we shall consider a few of the results with their proofs as samples of the work. Euclid 10. Proposition I1. On a given finite straight line to construct an equilateral triangle A, B, C. Proof. To prove this, construct circles at A and B of radius of dot. Argue that the intersection point C is equidistant from A and B, and since it lies on the circles, the distance is a b. Note that in proposition I1, Euclid can appeal only to the definitions and postulates. But he doesn't use the Aristotelian syllogisms, rather he uses modus ponens. Note also that there is a subtle assumption of the continuous nature of the plane made in the visual assumption that the circles intersect. Flaws of this type went essentially unresolved up until modern times. 4.3 The Lomantz Book I. Proposition I4. SAS, if two triangles have two sides equal to two sides respectively, and have the angles contained by the equal sides also equal, then the two triangles are congruent. Note, the modern term congruent is used here, replacing Euclid's assertion that each part of one triangle is equal to the corresponding part of the other. Euclid assumes that rigid translation or rotation leaves figures invariant, and this is the final step, though never take, of every congruence proof. The one figure can be placed upon the other, with all sides and angles in correspondence, means they are congruent. Euclid 11. Proposition I5. In isosceles triangles the angles at the base are equal to one another, and, if the equal straight lines are produced further, the angles under the base will be equal to one another. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Proof. Extend up to D and AC to E. Mark off equal distances BF and CG on their respective segments. Now argue that since AF and AG are equal and AC and AB are equal and the triangles ACF and ABG share the included angle at A, they must be congruent. This means then the sides F and GB are equal. Hence, triangles FC and GCB are, SAS, congruent. Therefore, the angles FBC and GCB are equal, from which the conclusion follows. Proposition I6. If in a triangle two angles are equal to one another, then the opposite sides are also equal. A, B, C, D. Proof. We are given that ABC equals ACB. Assume AB 6 equals AC. Assume AB AC. Make D so that DC equals. Proposition I29. A straight line intersecting two parallel straight line makes the alternate angles equal to one another, the exterior angle equal. Euclid 12. To the interior and opposite angle, and the interior angles on the same side equal to two right angles. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. See more details and diagrams in the chapter on Pythagoras and the Pythagoreans. 4.4 The Lomantz Book II. Book II with 14 theorems is diverse from Book and Thetae deals with rectangles and squares. It can be termed geometric algebra. There is some debate among Euclid scholars as to whether it was extracted directly from Babylonian mathematics. In any event, it is definitely more difficult to read than Book I material. Definition. Any rectangle is said to be contained by the two straight lines forming the right angle. Euclid never multiplies the length and width to obtain area. There is no such process. He does multiply numbers, integers, times length. Proposition 2-1. If there are two straight lines, and one of them is cut into any number of segments whatever, the rectangle contained by the two straight lines is equal to the sum of the rectangles contained by the uncut straight line and each of the segments. L W A B C LW equals L, A plus B plus C, equals LA plus LB plus LC. It should be apparent that this is the distributive law for multiplication through addition. Yet, it is expressed purely in terms of geometry. Euclid 14. A G H L K F BDEC. Proof. Let A and BC be the two lines. Make the random cuts at D and E. Let BF be drawn perpendicular to B. Proposition 2-2. If a straight line be cut at random, the rectangle contained by the whole and both of the segments is equal to the square on the whole. A B C D F E. Euclid. Proposition 2-4. If a straight line is cut at random, the square on the whole is equal to the square sin the segments and twice the rectangle contained by the segments. 2 A B 2 A plus B equals A plus B plus A B. 2. Note the simple